Hi everyone, I'm Katie Room from Periapsis Press, where I review indie sci-fi and fantasy books. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back to our book club. We're currently reading Shoot the Devil, which I do have here, edited by Eric Postma. With me today is Patrick from Cave to the Cross and Michael Kane, author of After Moses. Today we will be diving into Who Rules the World by Jagi. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right because I have had her on the show before. Jagi Lamplighter. She wrote the Rachel Griffin series, which is not called the Rachel Griffin series. Books of Unexpected Enlightenment. And that I've reviewed on Periapsis Press. This story is actually related to a different series of hers called Prospero's Daughter. So we'll dive right into it. In the Prospero series that she has, each of Prospero's children possesses a staff of power. The main character of Who Rules the World is Ida No, which sounds really similar to I Don't Know. So just throw that out there right now. Exactly. She is the secretary to Cornelius Prospero, who's blind. And when the story begins, he's in the midst of a battle of wills with his staff of persuasion. He wants to prove that he, the secret ruler of the world, could resist the siren lure of power. The staffs all contain demons that lead them into a particular sin, with possible redemption for the demon if they are resisted. Also, Cornelius is the head of the Illuminati. Ida has sworn to take revenge on the Illuminati for the death of her father. They are also responsible for literally every evil of the modern age. And all the big baddies of history, except Hitler, are sitting members of the council.
That's kind of... I didn't even notice that. You think I would have noticed that with everyone else that was included.
Yeah. Mao, fine. Hitler, too bad for us.
It's just a little too stereotypical.
Although there are not C adjacent people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. So all of the stuff that I've just said, we know, because 3 other brothers show up and they discuss it all in great detail. And it's very, very political. I'm not going to give a blow-by-blow of their conversation. Basically, Ida has a crush on Cornelius, and he has a crush on her too. And they don't know that they have mutual crushes until it comes out in conversation. The brother Theo, which is short for something, has the staff of devastation. And he suggests, why not blow them, the Illuminati, to smithereens? So that's what they do. And this is only halfway through the story that this is suggested. They attend the council, Ida and Cornelius do. They listen to every bad guy report their bad doings, and then they whip out the staff of destruction at the end.
Yeah, which Cornelius hasn't visited for 5 years because I guess you can just be absent from the most secret organization controlling all the world's power for 5 years and just everyone's fine with that. He's essentially Bruce Wayne, and he comes back to Wayne Manor and just is like, all right, this is mine again.
Yeah.
To be fair, half of everyone else was undead or re-dead or science project of some way anyway, so what were they really caring, right?
Which I will have to take umbrage with one person discussed on the Illuminati board, but I don't know if we want to
Okay, we'll see. That's the most interesting and entertaining part, probably, of the story. Is definitely the who and what they're doing and that stuff. But I don't know where Katie wants to start the discussion. Are you through with your synopsis? Are you going to do a whole synopsis?
I'm through with my synopsis.
Okay.
Oh, at the end, Cornelius proposes to Ida as well. That's sort of the
And gives his Illuminati relics to Jesus.
That's right. I forgot about that part. Yes.
Which,
to the baby Jesus. Yep.
Yeah.
Which was what was a nice kind of trite little moment. I was like, oh, okay, I get that. I like it.
Obviously, I've enjoyed Jagi's stories in the past. I've reviewed them on Periplus Press. I've read other short stories for books that I've reviewed, such as Swords and Maidens. This one did not land for me.
It seemed like an ability to make a list and say, "Do you want to know more? Buy this book." Like I once again stirred up BookTube, Book Sphere, Indie Pub, Trad Pub people this week by going against all Christian fiction as chick fiction, aka Amish fiction, and it got some good response to it. No one quite disagreed with me yet, but there was one indie author who just posted a link and said, "Buy my book." Like, what? Can I at least get a dinner first? Can I get something? Like, oh, if you think all Christian fiction is chick fic, then try mine out. It's guns blasting, dudes bench pressing dinosaurs, something like that. Nope, just in and out. Like, well, all right, that's just a list. I've kind of felt like this. So I was thinking I was going to compare it to the last story in our Silence and Starsong Volume 1, Issue 1, or is it Issue 1, Volume 1? Anyway, that one where it was the secret cabal controls the world from the guy and he's just unable to resist the evil. Nope, this is just here's all the true facts of history and they're all part of the Illuminati and evil. It's like, well, this is just nonfiction. What's the fantasy part of this? At what point do we punch the devil up until you get to the meeting of everybody on the council?
The politics element, like just the listing of all of the stuff, was escapism preventing for me. It was like, okay, I just like it's too specific. If it had been more vague, I think it would have worked better for me. But like the side hopping Trump's name was just not enough space between me and reality for escapism to occur.
Yeah, so for me, and this is also kind of the rules that I abide by for references in my own writing. But the way to avoid what Katie is talking about of, you're reading a book and oh, someone current gets name dropped and you're like, oh, why this is part of my current daily life, why do we do that? Real world references are good when your book is set in the real world, but it's really best to put them out of the memory of people that are currently alive, right? Like you probably shouldn't even be in fiction mentioning Tolkien too much. Even Tolkien's kind of right at that limit. Like, is he far enough back yet? Obviously people mention Lord of the Rings, but Tolkien, it starts to get a little weird. You really want to go back a smidgen further even. So for instance, and yeah, I get there's some people that remember, but one of the once I got it through my head that there was going to be a lot of historical references, right? It was a case I'm just going to have to accept that this is part of the function of this story, right? There's not any getting around this, right? They didn't name mention Donald Trump, but he was right. He was kind of, side eyes were made at him twice, I think, right? They made kind of some eyes at the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, at least once, maybe twice, some very recent stuff. But at the same time, when they're talking about, which Dewey was it?
Yeah, the Dewey
When they're
Decimal
talking about
System.
how is it John Dewey? Was it John Dewey? I forget which one is which.
No.
And the the book, the story actually made that joke about people not knowing which Dewey is which Dewey. Which it's okay. I kind of chuckled at that, right?
Mhm.
That's okay. That reference that far back doesn't do anything.
Right.
Joking that Margaret Sanger made a deal with Satan to get 1 hour of life for every aborted baby is some really kind of twisted, weird, dark comedy when she's there on the Illuminati. And it works because she's far enough back that she's a historical figure. It's basically, if you make if you're referencing real world people, if they're already relegated to history, you can make all the jokes about J. Edgar Hoover you want being evil, right? Because he's far enough back that people, you don't really remember him in current memory. But, if you start mentioning Bill Clinton, and a fantastical work is going to start ripping you right out of it real quickly because, I mean, he's still alive. Everybody remembers Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's kind of that line, and some of them, once in this story, once you accept it, okay, this is the kind of story it's going to be. There's going to be a lot of these people. It just kind of depends. There's like this line, and it's always going forward. I don't know if it's like 1960 is where it currently is right now. You're good up to the 60s, but as soon as you hit the 70s, you're in trouble. I don't know exactly where it is, but
yeah. Well, it would have been
kind of my
fun
take.
though if amidst the horror of everything that you're reading, where you're just like, I mean, yes, this is just evil people being evil and doing evil things. It'd be nice to throw in like absurd things in there, like we took over Maytag, and now no washer or dryer will exist perfectly for 7 years. After the 7th year, it will break down. Or like we removed half the noodles from chicken noodle soup, and now you're just left with more broth than what you are. Like that type of evil stuff too. Like you're. I mean, I don't think you can mix it up there with 60 million aborted babies and the 50 million Chinese dead from the Great Leap Forward from Mao. But you can talk about a pandemic and then people can draw inference like, oh, is this the Spanish flu or is this COVID? But then also like your shoelaces will break after
and there
pulling them too
was
tightly.
deliberate humor mixed into the Illuminati scene with all of these really evil people.
Yeah.
Right? There was absolutely some intentional dark comedy in there. Like, is it very, who was it? Who was the Nazi adjacent? Who was it?
Mangala.
Yeah. Yeah. He's talking about um, political correctness as this kind of ongoing experiment, and he keeps using politically incorrect words, and people have to correct him for using because he died a long time ago, so he's still using the 1940s vocabulary. And that was actually a really funny joke. I actually wish that joke had gone like one more step to really nail it home. That was
we might be
about
evil,
the
but we're
only
not
way
racist.
you were going to make it right, exactly. But so there definitely was, my point was, there definitely were some deliberately funny things in that section.
Sure.
That,
yes.
I wouldn't mind seeing expand. But
I would have liked to see that. So there's sort of two parts to the politics stuff. There's the part where they're talking, as we all know, basically, because Cornelius has been out of it for 5 years, just like telling him about all the bad stuff that's been happening. And then there's the bad guys talking about what the bad guys have been doing. That second part is way more interesting than the first part. So I would have liked to see the story focus on that second part more and not so much on the first part. I think that also would have helped the tension.
Yeah, I wasn't clear at all because we kind of shift from a plan to then Ida not knowing what was going on and thinking that Cornelius was like either going to betray them or just not go through with it. And it just was very muddled on what I'm supposed to feel there. Like there's no there's no bomb under the desk. I believe there's a turn of phrase that has been uttered on the show a number of times that I don't wish to once again do, but there's a stick in the room and everyone should be looking at it.
A Chekhov's gun. Is that what you're trying to avoid?
I don't know. I may have heard that phrase before.
I don't think I had any issues with Ida not knowing because they talked about it beforehand that but some people in the room could read minds, and so he was the plan was her not knowing what the plan was.
Yeah, conveniently. Oh, if I told you, they would read your mind. But isn't she already like, I hate you all, I'm going to destroy you all, what you did to my father?
It's a fair point.
Fair. If I was going to rearrange things, and this is getting into if I was going to write the story, so yes, I apologize. Yes. But I would have leaned into that harder. Instead of having this conversation with the brothers, with Ida there, sort of have her start the story with them entering the Illuminati beautiful, magnificent, what is it, Chamber of the World or something?
Yeah.
I don't remember. But start there and have her sort of recall that he had met with his brothers, but not really know what they had talked about. And then really lean into is he losing the fight with the staff? Is he going to give into temptation?
The one world room.
The one world room.
Which is appropriately Illuminati. I actually chuckled at that too.
I just think that second section was already the strongest.
Right.
And then playing on that unknown and making it a question in the reader's mind, instead of sort of having talked about what the plan basically was earlier. If that makes sense.
Yep.
You know who doesn't make sense to be in that room, though, is Vlad the Impaler. Poor Vlad, the Impaler. You know where he got the idea for Impalers? By saving Christians from terrible Muslims by going with an untrained force with unqualified numbers against a Muslim horde, winning, saving Christian lives, and then Bram Stoker comes along and uses him as a caricature to write some book that we're supposed to now care about.
To be perfectly fair, they did make Vlad be particularly offended at Attila the Hun, who was basically at this like the war incarnate kind of Illuminati guy, because Attila was currently dressed as an ISIS member, wearing all black with white tennis shoes. And Vlad was particularly offended because and called him the infidel. So there was at least a little bit of nod towards that particular rub, but I get you.
I liked him because he was like in a room full of like people that I know are like evil people and like recognize their names. He was like basically the cranky vampire, and that was like his whole character.
Right.
He was the third fifth vampire, yeah.
He's like, I want to be asleep. What are we even doing?
He was very clearly a cartoon character in the midst of it all, which again, it was like I said, there was deliberate humor.
Then go that direction. I don't even say blah blah blah. The best joke in Hotel Transylvania.
Who else was in there? Who have we not talked about? Because like I said, again, really these personalities outside of when they were mentioning two recent events.
JP Morgan was a good one. Bringing in the feminism post World War II.
Right. It was John Dewey.
Yeah, there you go. The one that I was kind of surprised about was the critique of the Catholic Church, probably post Vatican II.
Yes. Okay. So that's obviously very recent, but I was, I knew the guy's name, right? I was like, whoa, that's interesting. Umberto. I admit it's probably Italian. Brigella. Umberto.
I will pronounce it wrong, so I'm not going to bother.
Readers, not speakers.
I liked, was it Marx? Yeah. So Karl Marx is dead, and he's not one of these other people who are supposed to be dead but aren't. He's literally dead, and he's been
Right.
possessed by a demon who's been sent back to hell or back to some other place. And so a different demon is in him.
He's like standing in his place and animating the corpse, and is basically requesting, "Can we please just continue this with a fresh corpse, because this one is not suitable and smells, and you guys hate it." And then they're like, "But we'll have to stop pretending that you're Karl Marx then." So that was pretty funny too.
Yep. So that made me chuckle.
Yeah, Attila the Hun, who was now just an ISIS soldier, because I guess he was basically just war incarnate at this point. Margaret Sanger, who, let's see, there's also,
have we
which
said
Rockefeller
Rockefeller?
was? Yeah, which Rockefeller was it?
Not Morgan.
David.
Rockefeller. Yeah.
David Rockefeller.
Okay, which Rockefeller is that?
It's the one after John, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not up to date on my Rockefellers. But anyway,
Yes.
he was possessed by Beelzebub.
But so, like, even if you wanted to
Cardinal Umberto
talk about like these people as being, evil personified, they were just telling exactly what they did. And it would have been nice to, the when you think the Illuminati, it's like, 12 shell companies deep with, then you come to the door and it's a brick wall, and you were never going to get there. And so, they're always 22 steps ahead of you, taking off in flying saucers that you didn't know existed in Antarctica. And just like that, there was really none of that. It was just like, well, hey, remember when we got women to go to work and vote? That was terrible. It's like, yeah, we all agree with that.
There was a little bit of the, as you all know, and then tell it for the audience, that happens throughout.
Yeah, and I think I would have had a lot more patience for it in this scene if we hadn't had the earlier scene with the brothers.
Right, because this one is mixed with the comedic, and so it's almost kind of this, they're all just kind of like bragging about what they've been doing.
Right.
And you can kind of get it, because of course Sanger is going to be bragging about killing millions of babies, right? It's like, that's just the way, that's what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's at least one more good one here. Yeah, you talked about Marx. Yeah, there were two different Chinese.
Yeah, they had differing ideas.
Right. There was Mao, and then a Chinese emperor, Mu of. I was not personally familiar with him, because I admit that my Chinese history is pretty bad. So he's from like 1,000 years ago. What did you do that was so bad? One Chinese myth tells about Mu, who dreamed of becoming an immortal. Okay, well, that might have been part of the reason to pick him. Oh, Caligula. Caligula was briefly mentioned. Yeah, see, that was actually a great moment, because Caligula is just briefly mentioned, who's laying on a purple couch eating live scorpions.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He offered one to Margaret Sanger. She moved away from him, switching seats with Mao, who accepted a scorpion. Right? See, that was those were, to me, the single best moments in this story, was accepting the horrific comic absurdity of some of these things. It's like, of course Caligula's eating scorpions. As soon as I read that was the most natural thing in the story, because of course he's eating scorpions, right? What else would Caligula be eating?
Yeah. I think that part of the story worked well. And I wasn't ready for it when I first read it, because of the way it started. I think the political stuff is more tolerable in that section. It doesn't feel as like abrasive, I guess, because it is juxtaposed with sort of this absurdism.
John Money, that was another one. John Money was getting borderline too recent, or else even if he wasn't that recent, us feeling the effects of, because he's the all the deviant sexual and gender stuff, right? So maybe just feeling all the effects still of the twisted things that he said and did makes him feel more recent than he actually. Because I think it was the 70s, though, wasn't it? That those
Yeah,
experiments, the twin experiment was the 70s, wasn't it?
I'm pretty
I
sure.
feel
Oh,
maybe 60s into the 70s.
yeah, maybe around there.
It's interesting to me. This is the fourth story, and only the last one, the Fell Beasts, has been like a standalone story. All of them have been
Hmm.
related to other works that the authors have done.
Yeah. It's
I
one thing
am.
if you're writing only that universe and everything that you've ever written. I get that. But, you know, Niven or Blish or Clark, I've got anthologies of theirs up on here, and they're single stories. They get in, they get out, they do their thing, they create a world. There was a Arthur C. Clarke story that spawned a whole new novel 2 years ago. Just this whales in the atmosphere of Jupiter that people liked, and they wrote a thing about it. I didn't think it was really the best story because it had monkey butlers on airships and on Earth, but then it switched over, so I wasn't sure which one it was doing. But I, it just seems kind of like a poor marketing tactic where you're just trying to say like, oh, buy my other books. Now it's going to happen. Perhaps Christmas had a few in there too, but there were also standalone ones that existed. But yeah, it just seems like we're a number of stories deep, and it's just like, well, how much am I missing out on character development? Because you're like, well, if you really wanted to know who this person was, you'd read these 6 other books. I'm not going to do that yet.
Yeah. So of these, and Arla Points does it the best, for sure.
I agree.
Right. I didn't feel that I was missing anything. I felt that story was completely standalone. And if Katie hadn't mentioned that that character did appear elsewhere in some other stories, you said?
Yeah, other short stories.
Yeah. If I hadn't been told that, I wouldn't have known that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's the best way to do a short story that's not part of an anthology that's marked as occurring within a specific universe, right? That's
Yeah.
obviously a different matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just as an experiment, I would be very curious if somebody that had read the Prospero series read this, what they would think of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious. It's like, looking at the covers of those books, this looks like this occurs much later in history than those books, or are they set across time, or is this? I don't know. I'm curious if someone that had read those would read these, what then they would think. If they would go, oh, I like that. I like the way it fit in. I've got no idea. Because it just felt like the first, because Katie's talked about the two halves before, and the first half felt like it was spending its time situating the story within a given universe. So it felt like there was a lot of info dumping
Sure.
to it. Whereas the second part of it was more actually the meat of the story, and was much better because of it, because I didn't feel like I was starting a conversation halfway through and going, okay, who are these? What? Who? Oh, okay. That's a lot. That's a lot to take in all at once.
Unless if you're bringing someone in like a Harry Dresden or another Harry, a Potter, who you're kind of like, well, people are going to know even osmosisly through the ether that who these characters are, you're going to have to do the hard work of telling me as a person picking up this book who anybody is, why I should care, and what makes them interesting enough to be a character. I have no clue what Ida is. If the relationship is something that is just coming at a head, if it's a big reveal for fans of the original story, or is this already happened within the context of the story, and this is like, well, do you ever want to know why they got together? I don't know who any of these characters are, and this story doesn't make me want to search out anything. Like they've blown up the Illuminati, the best character in the whole book.
And for a short story, there's too many people who share a function. Like the brothers, they all share the same function within the story. And their names are too long.
For a short story.
Yep.
Because, those names are not names without historical and literary significance.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
with more context, I suspect, again, the context of a series, I suspect they're no problem at all.
Right.
But it was a lot of names for a short story. I agree.
There needed to
Theo...
be one person just named like Steve that everyone was really scared of.
Well, when they shortened Theophrastus to Theo, it was like, oh, okay.
Also, I
Cut
think
the
the
others.
Erasmus... I think the Erasmus was the Erasmus. Did you pick that up on that, Patrick?
No, I didn't care.
Oh, okay. I think the Erasmus was supposed to be the contemporary of Martin Luther, compiling the Textus Receptus, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be that Erasmus.
I mean, Theo makes sense. Well, isn't there someone that he's like, quoted the Bible, and it's like, oh, it's the King James version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Erasmus. I happen to be the person who translated that passage.
Yeah.
I wrote that, and I'm like, well, okay, God wrote that. You were lucky enough to copy it down. All right, buddy.
He did good scholarly work. He was one of the good guys, ish.
I liked the sort of thing that happens is that Cornelius looks like he has the staff of persuasion, but he has, in fact, the staff of just devastation. And he's left the staff of persuasion with his brother. And then when they get back, I really liked that note where like he was reading the Bible to the staff. And I think he says like as if he is responding to the staff saying, are we done? He's like, no, we've just made it through Genesis.
Right. And this is my Catholic Bible, so there's still 72 books to go. You're getting Maccabees, buddy. Oh, look, the story of Noah. This should be good.
Especially since he's reading it to the demon inside.
Yeah. So look, the story didn't work as a story to me, but there were a lot of ideas that I could go, I like that idea. I like that idea. I liked a lot of ideas in the story, but it didn't really come together as one story because it was trying to be part of a literary universe that I don't think it really helped improve the story to be part of that universe as an outsider to that universe.
Sure. Yes, that's probably the best way of explaining it. It would have benefited from being trimmed a bit. A stronger sense of tension or a more consistent sense of tension would have helped as well. Kind of pull, have a pull through. That's a bit better to sort of get you through some of the more heavy-handed political stuff.
it's really hard to lose me with characters from mentioning the Illuminati. I'm pretty much halfway there. Like if you said it inside Area 51, I mean, you're gonna have to kick me away from that setting, from my fingernails. But just that this one did nothing for me, and I'm mad at it for doing that.
I'm sorry, Patrick.
That's all right.
I like that they basically just nuked the Illuminati.
Yes.
I mean, just WMD'd them. It's like that's that that thing we joke about of sometimes just shoot them or blow them up or whatever. So it was direct.
Yes.
Too
Maybe
direct. Too direct. Like,
maybe.
the vampire should have appeared at the end and be like, "Oh, not again."
I liked it. I think if I had been going through the story thinking, well, sooner or later somebody's got to get shot, right? And then not expected that the staff of, or maybe not so much not expected, but not have gone in with the idea that the staff of devastation would be an element. Sort of, introducing the fact that the brother had it and that this is what it does. That's that Chekhov's gun. But having him say, why not blow them to smithereens, and then walk through the logic.
Right, because I was
ahead of
expecting it at
time.
that point, especially because we were in Ida's point of view and she was worried about it. I was like, no, that's not what you have to worry about because he doesn't have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. But it was satisfying as an idea.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of good ideas. A lot
Yeah.
of good ideas. A lot of individual lines that made me smirk.
Yep. Thank you guys for joining us, for listening and watching and participating in our book club. If our discussion has inspired you in any way, leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts either on this story or if you've read Jagi's Prospero's Daughter series. Love to hear your thoughts on this as well. We will continue reading the Shoot the Devil anthology. We'd love to have you guys join us. This is anthology is an easy way to just hop in at any time, and you don't have to catch up on the whole book. You can just jump in and read the short stories along with us and go back and read the other ones as well. Thank you to Patrick and to Michael for joining me. Everybody, have a great day.